There is a harshness in the human gaze that no one acknowledges, a silent biological mechanism that occurs in less than a second. Before you utter a word, before you extend your hand, before you demonstrate value, you have already been assessed. If you appear fragile, you are treated as vulnerable. If you appear lacking, you are treated as non-existent. It does not matter how exceptional your intellect is. It does not matter how genuine your spirit is. If your presentation signals deficiency, the world will conspire to maintain you in that deficiency. Machiavelli understood this 5 centuries ago. He cautioned us that the common crowd is always captivated by appearances, and the world consists primarily of the common crowd. You have experienced this. You have entered a space and sensed the atmosphere shift. You have witnessed eyes glance past you as if you were invisible. You have observed lesser individuals, foolish individuals, corrupt individuals be granted opportunities simply because they appeared as though they belonged, while you remained standing outside. This is not misfortune. This is the ruthless mathematics of perception, and until you command it, everything will oppose you. Most individuals believe that financial struggle is merely an economic condition. They are mistaken. Financial struggle to the human creature is a signal. It is an indication of weakness, and nature rejects weakness. When you appear diminished, and I do not mean disheveled, I mean reduced, you activate a predatory instinct in others. You invite them to deceive you. You invite them to overlook you. You invite the world to offer you its remnants. But there is a method to manipulate this system, a method to project authority before you obtain it, a method to compel the world to regard you with the dignity of royalty, even if your resources are minimal. Machiavelli termed it the disguise of the ruler. It is the science of weaponizing your image, so that reality conforms to match your presentation. But to adopt this disguise, you must first comprehend the error you are committing right now. The subtle, imperceptible signal you are transmitting every time you step outside your door, a signal that communicates to the world, I am without value. You may disregard me. Once you cease broadcasting this signal, the battle transforms, the opposition diminishes. But first, we must examine why the world penalizes the appearance of lack with such severity. The world is not just, it is efficient. And the human mind is the most efficient mechanism in existence. It does not desire to labor. It does not desire to excavate through the surface of your presentation to discover the treasure of your character. It desires a shortcut. Presentation is that shortcut. When you display yourself as disheveled, collapsed, or apologetic, you are delivering the world a judgment against yourself. You are sparing them the effort of evaluating you. You are declaring, I have already surrendered, so you should surrender on me too. Comprehend this. Individuals do not scorn the struggling because they lack resources. They scorn the struggling because financial hardship reminds them of defeat. It reminds them of powerlessness. It is contagious. When a person appears lacking, they appear infectious, not with illness, but with misfortune. And humans, superstitious beings that they are, retreat from misfortune. Machiavelli observed that individuals judge generally more by vision than by touch. For everyone can observe you, but very few have to experience who you truly are. Everyone perceives what you seem to be. Few comprehend what you are. Consider the last occasion you encountered someone in wrinkled clothing, shoulders hunched forward, gaze lowered. Did you contemplate their philosophy? Did you wonder if they were a brilliant thinker? No. You categorized them. Defeated, broken, avoid. You perform this instantly. You perform this without malicious intent. You perform this to conserve mental energy. Now imagine that person is you, because frequently it is. We construct falsehoods to find peace at night. We declare, I am genuine. I am indifferent to opinions. I dress for ease. This is the vocabulary of the defeated. Ease is the adversary of authority. Genuineness without command is merely noise. When you appear deficient, everything opposes you because you have removed your protection. You have entered a battlefield undefended. And in conflict, the undefended are not pitied. They are eliminated. Consider the horn effect. It is the dark counterpart of the halo effect. If one characteristic is negative, your footwear is damaged, your posture is collapsing, the mind assumes all your characteristics are negative. They assume you lack discipline. They assume you lack intelligence. They assume you are untrustworthy. Why? Because self-governance is visible. If you cannot manage your own presentation, why would anyone believe you can manage an enterprise? If you cannot maintain the fabric covering your body, why would anyone trust you with responsibility? The visual is the evidence of the internal, or at minimum, that is how the world interprets it. To neglect your image is to misrepresent your own essence. You are communicating a falsehood about yourself. You are informing the world you are worthless when you are not. And the world, being harsh and literal, believes you. There is a dark contradiction in the movement of resources. Wealth flows toward those who appear as though they do not require it. Visit a financial institution, request funding dressed in desperation, emanate necessity. Let your voice waver with the reality of your struggle. What occurs? The vault seals. The interest rates multiply. You are a liability. Now consider someone who requires the funding equally, but they enter wearing tailored attire. Their grooming is precise. Their timepiece catches illumination. They speak slowly, with the indifference of someone who possesses alternatives. They do not request. They propose. The vault opens. The terms are favorable. Why? Because they signaled abundance. Humans follow the principle of association. We associate prosperity with competence. We associate struggle with inadequacy. If you appear as though you require assistance, you will rarely receive it. If you appear as though you can provide assistance, the world presents resources at your feet. This is why the pretend until you succeed philosophy is not merely vanity, it is survival strategy. It is Machiavellian pragmatism. To appear lacking is to signal expense. To appear prosperous is to signal opportunity. Nobody desires to bear an expense. Everyone desires to secure an opportunity. When you enter a negotiation appearing diminished, you are requesting charity, and charity is a cold, harsh fragment given with disdain. But when you enter appearing formidable, you are proposing an alliance. You must comprehend that individuals are terrified of being connected with failure. If they engage someone who appears careless and that person fails, they appear foolish. I should have recognized, they will declare. Observe them. But if they engage someone who appears impeccable and fails, they are pardoned. They appeared qualified, they will declare. They deceived us all. Your presentation is an insurance arrangement for the decision makers. By appearing qualified, you reduce the liability for others to support you. If you refuse to participate in this dynamic, you are not being authentic. You are being presumptuous. You are assuming the world is obligated to invest its time to uncover your concealed value. The world is obligated to provide you nothing. It is your responsibility to reveal your own value and display it brilliantly so that even those who cannot perceive clearly can recognize it. Machiavelli advised the ruler to be an exceptional pretender and concealer, to hide his genuine nature if it was disadvantageous, and to project the nature that was necessary. If you are hungry, you must appear satisfied. If you are anxious, you must appear indifferent. If you are struggling, you must appear as though you are merely traveling anonymously, because the instant they detect the vulnerability of your necessity, the predators begin to gather. Let us explore deeper. Let us examine the primal mind. Dominant structures are not social inventions, they are biological imperatives. Crustaceans, canines, primates, and humans, we all scan for status. What occurs when a predator observes prey that is injured? Does it experience compassion? Does it think, unfortunate creature, let me assist it? No. The injury activates the hunting instinct. Human civilization is a refined version of this dynamic. We do not tear throats with our teeth. We tear them with legal action, with mockery, with exclusion, with undervalued proposals. When you appear lacking, you are signaling injury. You are signaling that you possess no allies. You are signaling that you possess no resources to defend yourself. You are signaling that if someone harms you, no one will arrive to defend you. This is why the struggling are over-monitored, overcharged, and underserved. They are low-risk targets. If a merchant deceives someone in expensive attire, he fears consequences. He fears that person possesses legal representation. He fears that person possesses influential connections. He fears that person can destroy his reputation with a whisper. If a merchant deceives someone in tattered clothing, he fears nothing. Who will listen to the tattered individual? Who is concerned? By appearing lacking, you eliminate your deterrence. You render yourself safe to manipulate. I have witnessed individuals of exceptional intellect destroyed because they did not comprehend this. They believed their work would protect them. They believed their dedication would protect them. But they dressed like subordinates, so they were treated like subordinates. And when the reductions came, when the scapegoat was necessary, the finger pointed toward the person who appeared as though he could not resist. Presentation is protection. It is a psychological barrier that makes predators pause. Hesitation is all you require. In that split second of hesitation where they wonder, who is this individual? Are they dangerous? Are they significant? In that second, you prevail. You establish the framework. But if there is no hesitation, if they observe you and instantly perceive a victim, the assault is unavoidable. You might contend that this is unjust. You might contend that we should exist in a world where character is supreme. You can contend with gravity as you descend from a precipice. It will not rescue you. Machiavelli did not compose regarding the world as it should be. He composed regarding the world as it is. And in the world as it is, the individual who neglects his protection perishes. Who informed you that presentation does not matter? Who informed you that concern for appearance is a moral failing? Who informed you that modest clothing is an indicator of virtue? Usually, it is the individuals who desire to maintain you in your position, or it is the individuals who have already surrendered. It is what exists within that matters is a comforting phrase invented to console the invisible. It is a falsehood. Yes, character matters for lasting relationships, but presentation matters for initial access. Your interior is the product. Your exterior is the marketing. You can possess the finest product in the world, a cure for disease, a philosophical masterpiece, a billion-dollar algorithm. If you wrap it in refuse, bury it in the ground, and place a warning sign on it, nobody will acquire it. Marketing is not deception. Marketing is respect for the product. If you genuinely value your mind, if you genuinely value your spirit, why would you house it in a structure that resembles a ruin? To dress carelessly, to groom carelessly, to carry yourself with the posture of the defeated is an act of self-disrespect. And the world is a mirror. It reflects the respect you demonstrate toward yourself. If you treat yourself like a discounted item, the world will negotiate with you. If you treat yourself like a precious artifact, the world will refrain from touching you with unclean hands. There is a spiritual dimension to this. When you refine your presentation, you refine your consciousness. The discipline of the exterior influences the interior. Put on formal attire or even just a clean pressed shirt. Stand upright. Fix your hair. Observe how your thoughts transform. You become more intentional. You speak with more weight. You cease apologizing for your existence. The disguise becomes the identity. This is the transformation of the exceptional. We do not wait to feel confident to appear commanding. We appear commanding to become confident. The struggling individual waits for the emotion. The authoritative individual constructs the emotion through action. You must cease viewing your presentation as a burden. It is a weapon. It is an instrument of influence. Every morning you are dressing for a role. You are casting yourself in the narrative of your life. Are you the background character, the victim, the comic relief? Or are you the protagonist, the architect, the force to be reckoned with? The wardrobe selection is in your hands, but so many of you are choosing the costume of the victim and then questioning why the story is so tragic. It extends beyond clothing. It is in the eyes. The gaze of deficiency is an expression of constant apology. It is the habit of breaking eye contact first. It is the habit of contracting when you walk through a doorway. It is the habit of laughing nervously when someone insults you. These are the behaviors of a subordinate. You can place a beggar in silk, but if he maintains the gaze of deficiency, he will still appear lacking. You can place a monarch in tattered clothing, but if he maintains the royal gaze, the steady, unwavering assessment of his surroundings, he will appear like a monarch in disguise. Machiavelli notes that the lion does not need to roar to be feared. He simply needs to be present. When you appear lacking, you are often hyperactive. You explain excessively. You smile excessively. You attempt to please. This is the behavior of scarcity. You are signaling that you require their approval to survive. Abundance is calm. Authority is still. When you are comfortable with silence, you signal prosperity. When you are comfortable occupying space, you signal prosperity. Everything opposes the individual who appears lacking because his body language screams, "I am incorrect. I should not be here. Please forgive me." And the world replies, "You are correct. Depart." To break this, you must train the body before you can convince the mind. You must move with the pace of someone who is not compensated by the hour. You must hold the gaze of others until they feel the weight of your assessment, not the reverse. You must eliminate the subordinate inside you, because as long as that subordinate breathes, no amount of wealth will rescue you. You observe lottery winners who lose everything in 3 years. It is because they never eliminated the subordinate. They purchased expensive items, but they wore them with the apology of a thief. They appeared lacking in a luxury vehicle, and the world stripped them of it. And this leads us to the most prominent signal of deficiency: noise. The struggling individual is noisy. He is noisy with his words, noisy with his movements, noisy with his complaints. He feels the necessity to fill every silence because silence creates anxiety. In silence, he fears he is being judged, so he talks excessively. He reveals his plans. He reveals his insecurities. He informs you about his debt, his former relationships, his physical ailments. He gives you all the ammunition you require to destroy him, and he terms it being transparent. Authority is silent. Observe the predator. The tiger does not announce its presence until it attacks. The executive at the head of the table speaks the least. The leader whispers. When you over-communicate, you signal that your words possess no value. You are inflating the supply, crashing the demand. To never appear lacking, you must master the art of the closed mouth. When you are silent, you become an empty canvas. Individuals project their own fantasies onto you. They wonder, what is he thinking? Does he possess knowledge I lack? In that vacuum of information, they invent authority for you. They assume you are judging them. And in their insecurity, they seek to impress you. This is the Machiavellian reversal. By declaring nothing, you compel them to perform for you. But the instant you start complaining about the cost of fuel or how exhausted you are, the spell shatters. You become mortal. You become ordinary. You become one of us. And you do not desire to be one of us. You desire to be one of them, the outlier, the exception. This extends to your digital presence. The individual who posts everything, his meals, his outrage, his every passing thought, appears spiritually impoverished. He appears desperate for validation. He is performing for approval. The individual who posts rarely but with intention appears as though he possesses a life too rich to be captured on a screen. Scarcity creates value. Make your presence scarce. Make your words diamonds, rare, hard, and cutting. You might declare, I cannot afford tailored attire. I cannot afford the trappings of prosperity. This is a failure of imagination. Appearing lacking is rarely about the brand of your clothing. It is about the maintenance of your reality. An individual in an inexpensive shirt that is crisp, white, and perfectly tucked appears wealthier than an individual in a $1,000 designer garment that is stained and wrinkled. Discipline costs nothing. Polishing your footwear costs time, not wealth. Pressing your shirt costs effort, not wealth. Keeping your fingernails clean, your hair sharp, your body fit, these are investments of will. When you are disheveled, you signal chaos. You signal that you cannot control the disorder of your own life. And if you cannot control your own disorder, how can you control an enterprise? How can you lead individuals? The prosperous appear clean. That is the secret. It is a specific kind of hygiene that signals they are removed from the struggle of survival. The struggling appear worn. They appear eroded by the friction of survival. You must scrub the wear off your presentation. It is in the details. The heels of your footwear, the collar of your jacket, the screen of your phone. Is it fractured? A fractured phone screen is a screaming signal of deficiency. It declares, I broke this and I lack the resources to repair it. So I exist with broken items. Do not exist with broken items. It damages your psyche. It informs your subconscious that you deserve brokenness. Repair it or conceal it, but do not display it. Machiavelli taught that the ruler must appear compassionate, faithful, humane, upright, and principled. Notice the word appear. You must curate the artifacts of your life. If you drive a deteriorating vehicle, park it around the corner, walk the final block, arrive on foot, standing tall, control the narrative. This is not deception, this is framing. A photographer frames a shot to exclude the refuse container on the side of the street. You are the director of your own image. Eliminate the refuse. If you invite a potential ally to dinner, do not take them to a location you cannot afford and then stress over the bill. That is the scent of deficiency. Take them to a coffee establishment. Purchase 2 black coffees, but drink them with the leisure of monarchs. Focus on the conversation. Pay the modest amount with a smile. It is better to be the master of a small domain than the subordinate of a large one. There is a final element to the appearance of deficiency that is the most difficult to accept: the company you maintain. If you are surrounded by individuals who appear defeated, who speak in the language of victimhood, who dress in the uniform of failure, you are painted with the same brush. You are the average of the 5 individuals you are observed with. If you walk into a space with a pack of scavengers, no one will mistake you for a lion. This is harsh. I know. You have friends you love. You have loyalty to your past. But if you desire to rise, you must understand optics. When you are observed with the successful, the halo effect transfers to you. You borrow their credibility. This is why social climbers fight to be in the photograph. They know that the image is the asset. You do not have to abandon your old friends, but you must compartmentalize. When you are on the battlefield of success, you must walk with other warriors. If you bring a jester to the war council, you will not be taken seriously. Machiavelli warned that a ruler is judged by the quality of the advisors he keeps around him. If they are capable and faithful, he is considered wise. If they are fools, he is considered a fool. Audit your circle. Who makes you appear like a leader? Who makes you appear like a participant in a tragedy? Distance yourself from the visual burden, because the world assumes that birds of a feather flock together. If your flock appears lacking, you appear lacking. This requires a hardness of spirit. But remember the objective. The objective is not to be pleasant. The objective is to be effective. To never appear lacking is to curate your entire ecosystem. Your clothing, your words, your body, your companions. It is a total campaign on perception. Now the paradox. When you do this, when you meticulously remove every signal of deficiency from your life, something extraordinary happens. You cease being lacking. It is not magic, it is mechanics. When you dress with authority, you are treated with respect. When you are treated with respect, you are granted opportunities. When you are granted opportunities, you gain resources. The disguise summons the identity. You begin to believe your own narrative. You look in the mirror, and you do not perceive a victim. You perceive a contender. And because you perceive a contender, you act like one. You take risks. You negotiate harder. You walk away from unfavorable deals. You have manipulated your own neurochemical system. This is the ultimate secret. The constructed exterior reconstructs the authentic interior. By refusing to appear lacking, you reject the identity of deficiency. You reject the script that declares you are destined to struggle. You declare physically and visually that you are destined for more. And the world, which is desperate for leadership, desperate for strength, desperate for anything that resembles certainty, the world submits. It opens the doors it kept locked. It offers the smiles it withheld. Machiavelli was correct. Everyone perceives what you appear to be. Few experience what you truly are. So give them a vision of greatness. Dazzle them with the image of who you are becoming. Do not wait for the wealth to arrive to polish the crown. Wear the crown now. The wealth will follow the monarch. But if you remain in the tattered clothing waiting for permission to transform, you will perish in them. Let me share with you the deeper mechanism of this transformation. When you commit to never appearing lacking, you activate what psychologists call behavioral confirmation. The world treats you according to how you present yourself, and then you begin to internalize that treatment. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, but one you have engineered deliberately. Consider the businessman who cannot afford the luxury office, but rents a prestigious address for his business cards. Consider the consultant who cannot afford the expensive suit, but purchases one exceptional piece and wears it strategically. Consider the entrepreneur who cannot afford the latest technology, but keeps his older device immaculate and operates it with confidence. These are not acts of deception, these are acts of strategic positioning. You are managing perception because perception is the gateway to opportunity. Once you pass through that gateway, your actual competence can shine. But if you never pass through because you failed the visual test, your competence remains hidden, irrelevant, wasted. There is a concept in warfare called force multiplication. A small army can appear larger through clever positioning, through confidence, through the strategic use of terrain. You are engaged in psychological warfare every day, whether you acknowledge it or not. The question is not whether you will fight. The question is whether you will fight intelligently. When you appear lacking, you are fighting at a disadvantage. Every interaction requires you to overcome a negative first impression. You are climbing uphill. You are proving yourself constantly. You are exhausting your energy on battles that should never have been fought. When you appear commanding, the battles are won before they begin. People assume your competence. They give you the benefit of the doubt. They are predisposed to agree with you, to support you, to invest in you. This is not fair, but fairness is a luxury of the secure. You are not yet secure, so you cannot afford the luxury of fairness. Let me address the moral objection that arises in many minds. Is this manipulation? Is this dishonesty? Is this a betrayal of authenticity? No, it is communication. Your appearance is a language. Currently, you are speaking a language of defeat. I am teaching you to speak a language of capability. You are not lying about your skills. You are not fabricating your achievements. You are simply presenting the container in a way that makes people willing to examine the contents. The contents must be genuine. The container is simply optimized. Think of it this way. A brilliant professor with groundbreaking research presents his findings in a wrinkled shirt with coffee stains, speaking in a mumbling voice. Another professor with mediocre research presents in crisp attire, with clear diction, with confident posture. Which one receives the grant funding? Which one gets published in the prestigious journal? The mediocre professor, if he is intelligent, will eventually be exposed, but he will have had his opportunity. The brilliant professor, if he continues to present poorly, will never receive his opportunity. His brilliance will die with him, unrecognized, unappreciated, unused. This is the tragedy I am trying to prevent. I am not teaching you to fake competence. I am teaching you to ensure your competence receives the audience it deserves. Now, the practical implementation. You cannot transform overnight. The shock would be suspicious. People would wonder what happened. They would assume desperation or deception. Instead, you must implement gradually, methodically. Begin with hygiene and grooming. This is non-negotiable and immediate. Clean fingernails, trimmed hair, fresh breath, clean skin. This costs nearly nothing but discipline. Do this tomorrow. Next, address your posture and movement. Stand upright. Move deliberately. Eliminate fidgeting. Practice holding eye contact for 3 seconds longer than feels comfortable. This reprograms your nervous system. Do this for 1 week. Then, upgrade your clothing strategically. You do not need an entire wardrobe. You need 3 exceptional outfits that fit perfectly. One for formal situations, one for professional situations, one for social situations. Buy second-hand if necessary, but ensure they fit. A tailored, inexpensive suit defeats an ill-fitting expensive suit. Do this within 1 month. Simultaneously begin controlling your speech. Speak slower, speak less. When you do speak, speak with certainty or ask questions. Eliminate the middle ground of anxious chatter. Record yourself speaking and listen back. You will be horrified at your verbal tics, your uncertain tone, your apologetic phrasing. Correct these. Do this continuously. Finally, curate your environment and associations. Unfollow social media accounts that make you feel inadequate. Stop spending time in environments where you are the most ambitious person. Seek spaces where you are surrounded by people slightly above your current level. They will pull you upward. Do this over 3 months. This is a 90-day transformation protocol. At the end of 90 days, you will not recognize yourself. More importantly, others will not recognize you. They will sense something has shifted. They will treat you differently. And that different treatment will give you access to different opportunities, but you must maintain it. This is not a temporary costume. This is a permanent upgrade to your operating system. The moment you relax, the moment you think you have arrived and can stop maintaining your presentation, the slide begins. Entropy is constant. Order requires constant energy. Machiavelli understood that the ruler must always be performing. There is no moment of rest. The crown is heavy not because of its weight, but because of its constancy. You must be willing to bear this weight. Let me give you the final insight. The people who appear naturally elegant, naturally confident, naturally commanding, they are not natural. They are practiced. They have simply been practicing longer than you. They internalize these behaviors in childhood, or they learned them earlier in life. But it is learned behavior nonetheless. You are not disadvantaged because you lack some innate quality. You are disadvantaged because you lack training. This is excellent news because training can be acquired. Genetics cannot be changed. Training can. The child of wealth learns these signals unconsciously. He observes his parents' friends, his environment. He absorbs the body language of confidence, the speech patterns of authority, the presentation of abundance. By the time he is an adult, it is automatic. He does not think about it. He simply is it. You did not have this childhood. You must therefore become conscious of what he absorbed unconsciously. You must deliberately construct what he received passively. This requires more effort, yes, but it is absolutely achievable. In fact, you have an advantage he lacks. Because you are building this consciously, you understand the mechanism. You can teach it to others. You can refine it beyond his level. He is operating on inherited programming. You are operating on designed programming. Designed systems, when executed properly, surpass inherited systems. So do not despair at your starting position. Your starting position is irrelevant. Your trajectory is everything. And your trajectory is entirely within your control. The choice is yours. The judgment is coming. It comes every day, every second, from every pair of eyes that lands on you. Will they perceive a victim or will they perceive a master? You now understand the principle. But understanding is only the first step. Implementation is the second step. And implementation separates the curious from the committed. Most people will read these words, feel a momentary surge of motivation, and then return to their habits. They will find excuses. They will rationalize. They will say, "This does not apply to me. My situation is different. This is too superficial. I will focus on my inner development first." These are the words of the defeated. These are the comfortable lies we tell ourselves to avoid the discomfort of change. Do not be most people. Most people are invisible. Most people are struggling. Most people are waiting for someone to discover their hidden value. Most people will die waiting. Be the exception. Be the outlier. Be the individual who understands that the game is not fair, but the game is the game. And if you refuse to play, you have already lost. Wear the mask. Wear it until it becomes your face. And when it becomes your face, wear an even better mask. There is no final destination. There is only constant refinement, constant elevation, constant evolution. This is the path of power. This is the path Machiavelli illuminated 5 centuries ago. This is the path that remains true today, tomorrow, and forever, because human nature does not change. Technology changes, society changes, but the primal brain, the pattern recognition machine, the status detecting mechanism, this remains constant. Master the signals, control the perception, command the reality. The world is waiting to see who you will become. Show them a vision so compelling they have no choice but to believe it. And in believing it, they will make it true. This is the ultimate power, not the power to change reality directly, but the power to change perception, which then changes reality indirectly. This is the leverage point. This is the secret. Now go, look in the mirror, see yourself not as you are, but as you are becoming, and then dress that person, groom that person, carry that person into the world. The crown is waiting, but you must place it on your own head. No one will do this for you. No one will grant you permission. You must seize the throne of your own life. Do it now. Do it today. Do it with the full knowledge that every hour you delay is an hour you remain invisible, exploitable, dismissed. The mask of power is not a luxury. It is not vanity. It is survival. It is strategy. It is the difference between a life of significance and a life of silent suffering. Choose significance. Wear the mask. Become the prince.